VikesNow, Dustin Baker, the August 10th edition. I'm here with Josh Frey. How are you, good sir? How was your week?
Doing good. It's been good so far. Looks like an exciting morning in terms of Vikings news, huh?
Well, yeah, here's the deal. I'm setting this up for listeners. So we had planned to go over 6 or 7 teams from last year that didn't make the postseason that Josh, excuse me, forecasts for 2022 to make the postseason because there's always that turnover. And we sat down to record this thing. He told me the Vikings dropped a depth chart 10 minutes ago, and my ass hasn't seen it. So we're scrapping that topic to next week. And on the fly, we're going to do some of the Vikings depth chart revelations because I haven't seen them. And so let's do them on the fly. Since the show's about 15 minutes, we probably have time to go down the whole list. And if that's all right with you, sir.
Yeah, let's do it.
All
Sounds
right,
like fun.
I have not seen this, and for the rest of the world, the general population's like, who cares? This is a preseason depth chart. For you and me, and for the viewers of this show, it's a big damn deal. All right, quarterback. Let's hear it.
Quarterback. So obviously Kirk Cousins is a starter. Listed as backups right now, they have Kellen Mond or Sean Mannion. So I don't know if that's a forecast that only one of them is going to make the team, or if it's
Really?
they're both just listed as second stringers right now. They're not really comfortable putting in a third yet.
Okay.
But yeah, not really too many surprises there, I guess.
Does
We'll
it
see if
say? Does it say QB? Sorry to cut you off. Does it say QB2 or QB3, or it just says backups?
It just says backups.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
Well, yeah, then we knew that one. Yeah, the juicy news will be August 30th when we figure out if they only have 2 going into the dance. All right, so with that was common knowledge. I would hope to hell that Sean Mannion wouldn't usurp Kirk Cousins for QB1. Otherwise, we'd have a
Yeah.
markedly different show. All right. Running backs probably won't be too suspenseful. Let's hear them.
Yeah, running backs is pretty much chalk as well. Starters, Delvin Cook, and then backups are in the order Alexander Madison, Kanayn Nwangwu, Ty Chandler, and then Brian Koback. So
Okay.
not too many surprises there as well. Pretty much could have guessed that.
Okay, and then fullback has its own category.
Fullback is, yeah, CJ Ham, and then backup is Jake Vargas. So
Okay, good. All right, so on wide receiver, the question is, do they have 3 starters listed or 4?
they actually only have 2. It's in a
Okay.
21 personnel. So it's Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson for the starters. And then they have backups grouped as KJ Osborne and Amir Smith-Marset, firstly. And then BC Johnson and Myron Mitchell. And then the
Ah,
next group is Tristan Jackson or Jalen Naylor and Dan Chazina. So
my goodness. Okay. Well, that Myron
yeah.
Mitchell thing, holy crap. Janik in Germany either saw that 10 minutes ago or will watch it on this show and say, I told you, because that's been one of his guys.
Yeah, for sure. He called that one all right. And
My
then
goodness.
Albert Wilson is listed as his own grouping, and then Thomas Hennigan and Blake Prell are on their own group as well, with Prell on the PUP list.
So are these tiered as if it appears that Wilson would be in a bottom shelf?
That's what it appears right now, because they've got what 2, 4, 6, 7 above him right now.
Okay.
So yeah, it looks like he might be like the cutoff at this point as to where the cuts would be.
Really? Okay. Go through those one more time. Jefferson, Thielen, no brainers. And then in the second tier, Amir Smith-Marset, KJ, and Myron Mitchell.
No, so KJ and Smith-Marset are in their own, and then it's
Okay.
BC Johnson and Myron Mitchell as a tier below that. So
Okay.
yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
so
I've been trying to think, God, are they doing this alphabetical? But nope.
nope. Yeah, it's definitely in tiers right now in terms of it's not technically listed as second or third team yet, but
Mhm.
that's kind of the sense I'm getting out of this.
And it's
Um,
also, I mean, it's important for them to be diplomatic and, they don't want to show too much before the regular season. However, they also need to let players know where they stand. So to
right.
do it sort of ambiguous, not putting like WR7, but putting it in tiers, can, say to Albert Wilson, like, holy shit, I'm WR9 or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, well, Myron Mitchell one that will be written about on Vikings territory this afternoon. Give me tight ends.
Tight ends, not too many surprises at the top, but down the list it gets a little interesting. Irv Smith is obviously the starter,
Mhm.
injured right now, but if he's healthy week 1, he'll obviously be the starter. But then backups go in the order: Johnny Munt, Ben Ellefson, then Zach Davidson, then Nick Muse, and then Sean Byer. So
Okay.
I kind of assumed Davidson would be above Ellefson, but guess they're not too sold on him yet.
Yeah, I think what that would indicate is if indeed Smith isn't ready for the Packers, then it would probably be Munt as the TE1, Ellefson as the blocking tight end, so to speak. And then
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
fair.
know. I don't know if they would have another dude after that on the depth chart. But yeah, I think the Munt thing kind of confirms, O'Connell's ardor for him. But yeah, you would think based on his freakish size and speed that Davidson would be more of a pass catcher and esteemed on this list. But all of these things are, we've been going through how many months now of the absolute upside of a player, and 40 of these dudes aren't going to make the team. So
Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, though, yeah, that's pretty much what I would have guessed for that list. The tackles is where it gets a little interesting, though.
really, all right, that's a teaser. All right, did they break them out just by tackle, or did they do left and right?
They did. I think they did left. They did left and right group together.
Okay,
So the starters would be Christian Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill, obviously. But then the backups, we got Blake Brandel and Ali Udo.
really,
Left tackle would be Brandel, and then right tackle would be Ali. So
okay.
yeah,
So that
I
means Jesse Davis is indeed scheduled for the guts of the line.
correct. Yep,
Okay.
that's what it's looking like right now. And then Vidarian Lowe, left tackle on the third team, and Timon Paris, right tackle on the third team. And then that's all six of them. So
Okay. So just like the, I guess, surprise of Myron Mitchell as WR4 or 5, whatever they would classify him as, I would say Blake Brandel being what is it, LT2 or RT2?
LT2.
Okay. Yeah, that I didn't even know if he's going to make the team. So yeah, good for him.
Yeah, no, I know he was taking some snaps with the second team, but I would have assumed they would have put Udo over at that left tackle spot since that's where he played most of the time last year when Darisol wasn't there. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah. And it's worth noting, I think I tweeted this last week that Udo is a decent backup tackle. Our
Right.
taste is sour in him because of right guard penalties, but he was reared as a tackle. So I don't want listener or viewers to be depressed if he makes the roster and his backup tackle, because that's what he's good at.
No, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, like you said, guard, not so much tackle, but yeah, when he played at left tackle, he did a pretty decent job, I would say. I mean,
Yeah.
it's obviously not like all Pro Bowl level, but I mean, for a backup, like you can't really do much better than Aliudo.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. What makes more sense to reveal next, guards or centers?
Uh, it looks like they've actually got all three positions grouped together: left
Of
guard,
course they
center,
do.
and right guard. So we can go through them all together.
All right, cool.
So Ezra Cleveland, obviously left guard. They've got Bradbury starting at center, and then
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Davis as right guard. I don't think
Okay.
too many surprises at this point there. Chris Reed is listed as a backup left guard. Schlottman is the backup center. Ed
Okay.
Ingram, backup right guard. And then Kyle Hinton is the third team left guard. Josh Sokol, third team center. And Wyatt Davis, third team right guard. So,
Yeah. Well, that confirms his descent that we've
yeah.
forecasted and foreshadowed forever. And then let's see, Chris Reed at left guard as a backup for now. That's intriguing. But this is also a giant confirmation as Davis as the front runner to win right guard, which was the vibe coming out of June's mini camp. And one of my predictions on VikingsTheory.com was that he doesn't end up at right guard. So I don't know. I might be wrong there if the first depth chart already has him listed there.
Yeah, not looking so good there, but we'll see.
All
It's still
right.
early though.
On offense, Myron Mitchell was a gigantic surprise, at least for these purposes. Blake Brandel being in the mix, probably not going to be cut if he's the LT2. And then I guess Jesse Davis as the right guard, at least heading into the first preseason game, a guy who played tackle for the last 3 years in Miami. Those are newsworthy. So I think we got all the offense there, don't we?
Yep, that's all the offense.
All right. What do you want to start on defense? Do you want to do the edges first, or how do you want to do it?
So they've got listed defensive ends as the first grouping.
Okay.
But it's technically, I wouldn't say it's the guys that you'd think of as the edge rushers. It's more the
Oh,
defensive tackle sort of guys.
okay.
So Dalvin Tomlinson and Armand Watts are listed as the starters there.
Okay.
I don't think too big of a surprise at this point. Backups are Jonathan Bullard and James Lynch. Third team would be Jalen Twyman and Cece Adameo.
Really?
And then Julian Taylor is listed on his own grouping there too.
Yeah, that means he getting cut.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one is a little. So Bullard and who was the other one?
James Lynch would be the other second
Okay,
teamer.
so yeah, we all kind of know that Lynch has got some dog in him. Bullard being in tier ahead of Twyman and the Gopher dude. That's surprising because I think a lot of the hype around Twyman and Asazi has been a lot more lofty than Bullard. I don't
Yeah,
think
no,
anybody
I
knows who Bullard
actually,
is.
in my roster projection, I listed Twyman as a starter there. So we'll see what happens, but not looking too good yet.
Yeah, he's got a long way to go. And the thing that's weird about Twyman is that for 5 months, he's been the starter on ESPN's depth chart. There was even a
Right.
website called Clutch Points. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Yep.
They had this goofy article that said Vikings first depth chart announced, and it was last week. And I was like, just like right now, I'm like, how did I miss that? And I click on it, and they prefaced ESPN's depth chart as the Vikings announcing it. And so
Oh
they're like,
gosh.
and they're saying Twyman starting. And I'm like, this isn't how this works. But anyhow, so Twyman would be right now third string until any preseason snaps occur, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
That is noteworthy. All right. So I guess the next group has to have Harrison Phillips in it.
Next group is nose tackles, and yep, Harrison Phillips is a starter there. And then the backups are TJ Smith, Ty McGill, and then Tyrese Stevenson.
Okay. So that's news to me that Harrison Phillips is a nose tackle. I thought that was be Dalvin Tomlinson.
I think I kind of feel like they're going to be switching back and forth with that one. So where they end up starting, I guess, is kind of just, I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Perhaps it feels more interchangeable for 3-4 defense, and we're just so ingrained in these parts 4-3 defenses. But yeah, no, I haven't in any millisecond ever foreshadowed Harrison Phillips as a nose tackle, but it's good to know I can be wrong.
Yeah, and then the outside linebackers, they've got Daniil Hunter, Zadarius Smith as the starters, obviously. Pat Jones and DJ Wanham as the second team. Luigi Villan and Janarius Robertson are the third teamers, and then Andre Mincy and Zach McLeod are bringing up the rear in that group.
Really? Okay. All right. Well, Mincy was Ed Donatel carryover, so I thought there was a small chance he'd get some incumbent favoritism. But if Luigi's above him, that's good news for the Luigi people.
Yeah. You got the cool name dude in there. So
what did you have them keeping 5 or 6 edge rushers when you did this? Do you remember?
I believe I had 5. I had Hunter, Smith, Jones, Wanham, and Robinson, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so this gives Villan a puncher's chance to, I guess, kind of bring to fruition what all the scouts said about him, like a sack merchant. It's just so strange that he was undrafted, for everybody. And I swear to God, people like him because of his name. That's why he stands out to begin with.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm a little surprised by the Zach McLeod. It seemed like he was getting a little bit more hype in training camp as it got started, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right, so that is the line, and noteworthy is Harrison Phillips is evidently a nose tackle. News to you and me, and then Twyman somewhat buried as the preseason starts off. All right, well, let's see, off-ball linebackers.
Yes, so the starters there, no surprise, Eric Kendricks, Jordan Hicks. Backups, first team backup is listed as Troy Dye and Brian Asamoah. Then Chaz Surratt and Blake Lynch after that. Then Ryan Connolly and William Kwenku. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I believe so. That's one of the few dudes throughout this spring and summer and training camp I haven't heard a single thing about.
Yeah, no, I haven't either.
I remember learning about him when Kwesi signed him, but yeah, he might be the first one to go next week when they trim 5 dudes.
Yeah, I think the notable thing here is looks like Asamoah is going to be getting a decent amount of snaps here as the season starts out with that second team spot for him alongside Troy Dye. So that'll be interesting to watch, especially in preseason.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. And it's good that he's there on that tier because, in theory, he could be in the 3rd or 4th tier and we'd be like, shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Like Surratt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Surratt should be up there replacing Dye based on draft stock, but that might be a lost pick from Spielman's last draft. All right. That brings us to corners, right?
Correct. Yep. So they've got 2 listed as the starters, obviously Patrick Peterson, Cam Dantzler, and then the backups have grouped Chandon Sullivan and Andrew Booth together. After that is Chris Boyd and Caleb Evans, then Perry Nickerson and Harrison Hand, Nate Hairston, and Ty Smith bringing up the rear.
Okay. So yeah, that would confirm the first week of the Booth excitement that he is on track to be a backup. I guess in that first week, it felt like he might win the damn thing and be a starter. But it's kind of sort of been cricket since then about him being like this god right away.
Right. Yeah.
But Dantzler and Peterson, that doesn't surprise me. That was one of my predictions that they'd prevail. And then I guess Boyd and Evans, because I think they'll probably keep 5 or 6 corners.
I think they're going to have to. Yeah. There's just too much depth at that position to justify cutting more than one of those guys, right?
Yeah, and with the Rams last year, I know Ed Donatil wasn't there, but McVay, they kept 4 corners and had like 6 safeties. And
Right.
the Vikings simply don't have enough keepable safeties, let alone 6 of them in general,
Right.
that they'd keep. So yeah, I think 5 to 6 corners makes sense. All right, so that one is Peterson, Dantzler, Booth, Sullivan as the guys who would see most snaps if the season started tomorrow, and then Evans and Boyd next men up. All right, so I guess the most dramatic thing left is to tell me who the starting free safety is, Seen or Bynum.
It looks like it's going to be Bynum. Bynum is listed as a starter alongside Smith, and then Seen and Josh Metellus are backups. Miles Dorn, Mike Brown probably going to be the guys that end up getting cut out of that group.
Okay. Yeah, well, that one will disappoint some, especially because Vikings could have drafted Kyle Hamilton, or just the sheer fact that he's the first rounder and he's not a starter. But then again, this is an unofficial depth chart before any preseason games, and Seen reasonably could be on the thing September 10th, September 11th, or take over the job, if he's good in September. I have Seen winning that job. I don't know if they need to see it in the preseason or what. What do you think?
I put Bynum in there to start. I do think some of those 3 safety sets they've been talking about, I think we'll see some Seen in those. So I don't think it's a total lost cause at this point. But I do think at some point we might even see them interchangeably starting, like Cam Bynum will start one week. If he doesn't play well, then maybe Seen gets the job the next week, and they might just flop back and forth,
Yeah. I think the good part is if Seen doesn't start right away, it doesn't have to be damn it, why the hell isn't the first rounder starting? It can be viewed as, well, Bynum is good, people. Like they're not doing this to piss you off. Like, this guy is playing better, and therefore you should be happy that a rookie from last year is, excelling as a sophomore. It doesn't have to be doom and gloom on Seen not starting out of the gate. Although you would expect soon for him to take over or be the ultimate replacement plan for Harrison Smith when he walks away.
I think that's going to be the ultimate thing. Like, Harrison Smith is as great as he is, he's going to be done one of these years. So I think Seen would be the backup plan for that. So I think it's great to have 3 of them. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, I hear you. All right. So kicker, Greg Joseph, punter, Jordan Berry.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And then listed as backup, still Ryan Wright, but ultimately we expect him to get cut probably.
Cool. And then did they do punt returners and kick returners?
They did. So that's another thing that gets kind of interesting. Right now they've got Nwangwu as the starting kickoff returner. I don't think any surprise there.
Better not be.
Yeah, right. And then they've actually got KJ Osborne and Ty Chandler listed as the backups for that position right now. So yeah, might see Chandler, especially in the preseason, taking a few kicks. So we'll see if he can do what Nwangwu did, right?
Yeah.
And then punt returner. This is strange. It's Myron Smith-Marset. Who hasn't returned a punt in his entire NFL career. So that's a bold statement. And then backing up him is Jalen Naylor. So if any hope of Naylor staying on the roster, it's probably as a punt returner, right?
Yeah, well, that's what he told me on an interview just like this, that he plans to win the punt returning job. And he also called himself the fastest player on the team this week. So he's laying the framework for a nice case for himself. So yeah, Myron Smith-Marset as the punt returner. When one of my immediate takeaways on this is Albert Wilson just
doesn't look like he's making it. Yeah,
no,
not even listed.
No, because it was weird when he was signed. They were about to get D.D. Westbrook, and then that didn't work. They got Wilson. People immediately said, "Oh yeah, he can play special teams." Well, I think he can, and he did it back like 8 years ago in college. But he really hasn't been a return man in the NFL. I think we just assumed that because he wasn't Westbrook, that we signed him instead of Westbrook, and therefore he'll return punts, but he hasn't really done that very much in the NFL. And so if it matters, Albert Wilson, just some WR4 or whatever, another team, my immediate take on is that, yeah, he's in a little training camp doghouse.
Yeah, no, I think it's really promising to see a lot of these wide receivers, running backs, given that position is so deep that they're showing that they can be contributors on the special teams. So they'll keep some of them around, and maybe at some point they can take some offensive snaps too, and maybe they surprise some people.
Yeah. Okay. What as we get off air here, what's your single most takeaway? You just read it 15 minutes ago for you on this depth chart.
I do think it's the fact that Blake Brandel is going to be is looking at that backup left tackle right now. That one, I kind of thought he was going to stay on the roster just because he's been taking second team snaps, but I really thought it was going to be Ali Udoh taking that left tackle spot. So that was a big surprise to me. Another one, I guess, Garrett Bradbury obviously still being the starting center. That one hurts a little bit just because I really want to see Chris Reed in there, because I'm just sick of the Bradbury experiment at this point. I want it over with. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
I guess Jalen Twyman again. I've been rooting for that guy ever since he got drafted. So a little bit disappointing to see him as buried on the depth chart as he is, but that's what preseason's for. Maybe he rises up.
I hear you. In addition to those, mine has to be Myron Mitchell for a couple of reasons. Wide receiver. In these parts, Minnesota lore, wide receivers are always the most popular position because of Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Percy Harvin, Ahmad Rashad, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. We love wide receivers. And so when you have a little engine that could, Myron Mitchell, who was practice squad last year, look good in camp, but then you see it rubber to the road on the depth chart, you're like, oh my goodness, this is news, especially for the folks like Janik from Vikings territory that said this guy pretty damn good. So we'll have to monitor that because I don't know how many they'll keep. They could keep 5, they could keep 7, and Mitchell will probably almost certainly need them to keep 7 for him to make the team. And it also puts Jalen Naylor in an awkward spot.
Right.
Yeah, and he was the dude that Pete Bursich, Paul Allen said, could win WR3. And I'm looking around thinking, we already got one of those.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. That one seems a little bit rich for me.
Yeah. All right, my man. Well, thanks for breaking this live on air. I feel ashamed I didn't see it in the 15 minutes before the show. Why don't we, unless we have more breaking stuff next week, why don't we go through the preseason, I guess some of that feedback, and then we'll go through some of your unsung playoff choices for 2022. Does that work?
That works for me. Sounds like fun.
Excellent. All right. Check out Josh's work, Josh Frey, Frey, on VikingsTerritory.com and PurplePTSD.com. He writes equitably on both sites. And that's all we got for this afternoon. And Skol, baby.